Wonderful. Well, welcome everyone to the Arkansas Rare Disease Day. We are thrilled to have you here this morning. And to kick off our event today, we're going to go.
Elise, you're muted.
Sorry, just realized that. Well, good morning, everyone. I was so excited I forgot to push on mute. But welcome to the Arkansas Rare Disease Day. We are so thrilled to have each and every one of you joining us today. Our volunteers put together a wonderful program for you. But before we kick it off, we just wanted to share two quick videos with you, and then we will dive into our presentation. And a real quick housekeeper, if we've noticed that with our videos, sometimes they air a little bit better if people could turn off their cameras just for the duration of the videos. And then once they're done, we'll remind you if you want to turn your video back on. Thank you.
I am Tristan.
Angelina.
Nama saya Syafiq.
Regina.
Habari asubuhi, Javi.
Jeg er Christian og jeg bor I Norge.
I live in the United States of America.
In Australia.
Malaysia.
No Brasil.
Tunaishi Kenya.
My passion is for fashion and design.
I love to dance.
Minisurutan.
Para viajar e descobrir novas culturas.
Anapenda kunitazama nikipuliza mapovu.
Jeg elsker idrett og spiller spill med familien min. Minhas paixões são minha fuga quando as coisas estão difíceis.
Ada hari-harinya apabila melakukan perkara yang biasa akan jadi sangat susah.
When your disease makes you feel isolated.
It's difficult to walk.
O være med på laget.
When I'm tired.
Afraid.
O controle da doença pode ser desafiador.
Atau mengecewakan bila saya kehilangan masa.
Muda muhimu sana.
But we learned to be resilient.
Para apreciar os pequenos detalhes que me trazem alegria.
Kumuona mtoto wangu wa kiume anavyofurahi tunapoenda nje. Nikijua anasikiza hadithi na sauti zilizo karibu.
Mencari titik hubungan dengan masyarakat yang tak pernah saya sedar wujud.
Å være uavhengig på grunn av menneskene rundt meg.
Their fierce support.
Sua bondade inabalável.
Their big love.
Mine venner.
Keluarga.
Enfermeiras.
Doctors.
Support workers.
Assistenter.
Mashirika ya wagonjwa.
Together, we are a strong community.
Nimeweza kuelekewa.
Histórias compartilhadas que me libertaram das dúvidas.
I am Tristan. I live with sickle cell.
I'm Angelina.
And she has CASC, a neurological disorder. Saya Syafiq dan saya hidup dengan ectodermal dysplasia.
Regina, eu tinha leiomiosarcoma, câncer raro.
Huyu ni Harvey, ana SMA, spinal muscular atrophy.
Jon Christian og jeg har UI, medfødt benskjørhet. Esta minha vida.
Suara saya.
And I am more than my disease.
We are rare.
Kami ramai.
Nós somos fortes.
And we are proud.
And then we have one last video for you this morning to kick it off.
Welcome. I'm Peter Saltonstall, President and CEO of the National Organization for Rare Disorders, and would like to welcome you to our 2021 Virtual Rare Disease Day event. Before we begin, I'd like to send out a special thank you to all those advocates and others who have spent so much energy and time supporting the rare disease community. So thank you. The role of Rare Disease Day is to bring together advocates and patients from around the world to help tell the story about rare diseases. There are events like this happening virtually all over this country today. And some of the audiences that we're really trying to focus on are those in the state legislatures, where advocates and legislative people come together to understand the burden of rare diseases and the impacts it can have on them, and therefore build the appropriate legislation and pathway to make sure that bills are passed that support rare disease patients. As a matter of fact, NORD's doing that in a very focused way with rare disease advisory councils. We've got them set up down in 16 states and are building them in others. I think 2021 is going to be an interesting year for us. The reason I say that is because we've just come off of a very difficult year with a pandemic that's impacted the rare disease community in a number of different ways and has really shown some of the inequities in the healthcare system. For all of you that are watching today, the importance of the Rare Disease Advisory Councils is critical to the success of being able to communicate the story and the needs of the rare disease patient community. So in conclusion, I would really like to make sure that I recognize and thank all of those sponsors who have helped us make this day a reality. Without your continued support, none of this would happen. So a sincere thank you from all of us at NORD and the patient community. Taking part in events like today's are really important to the rare disease community, and we must always remember that alone we are rare, and together we are strong.
All right. Thank you so much for watching those videos with us, and feel free to go ahead and turn back on those cameras if you'd like so we can see your faces today. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and kick it over to Tammy Jones. She's one of our wonderful volunteer state ambassadors here in Arkansas.
Good morning, and thank you, Peter, for that great welcome and information. My name is Tammy Jones. I am the volunteer RAN ambassador for the state of Arkansas, and this is my third year to be able to serve in this capacity with NORD. You will see here on our first slide, we've got a little bit of a medical and legal disclosure. We are not physicians, and so we're going to be sharing with you today on our behalf as far as our stories, and then so we will not be giving any medical advice at this on this live today. Again, thank you. I hope that you were able actually to join into our Rare Action Network Facebook page this week. We had some amazing stories and some great and fun information. If you did not get to join us this week, that information will be there. So you'll be able to go back and see. We're going to leave it up for a little while because it's very important, and we're going to try to utilize watching this. So today, at the end, if you have any questions or anything, please reach out to us and let us know that. We can hang on for a little bit longer after we finish our 60 minutes today. Before I pass it to the NORD staff for an update, I would just like to let you know that we did give some initiatives of drawing. So if you are a registrant, we will be drawing a name later today and send you that information. And then if you joined our Facebook and liked and commented, then your name is going into a drawing. So thank you again for joining us today. Welcome to Arkansas Rare Disease Day 2021. And now I am going to turn it over to our NORD staff, which is, I believe, is Elise is going to lead that, just to tell you about the great things that we have going on. I'm sorry, before I do that, let me tell you a little bit about this slide that's up. This is a big part of my life as your ambassador, my life as rare patients, and just the things that I deal with in my household and in my area. So you're going to see a picture of some football players, and my grandson is part of the group there as a trainer due to his bleeding disorder. We also have some great community helpers that help us in a fundraiser that we do every year in March. And then, of course, you see our mayor and one of his staff with us, just honoring bleeding disorder awareness. And of course, we know that there are a lot of rare bleeding disorders. But thank you so very much. Now, Elise, I'm going to pass it to you.
Hi, Tammy. I'm happy to go next, but I have Kelly scheduled to go next if you'd prefer for her to go before.
Kelly, are you here?
Yes.
Okay.
I was trying to get it set up because I don't have my background.
That's okay. So thank you, Elise. And Kelly, welcome. We are so excited to hear your story. So I'm going to just turn it over to you and let you get started.
Okay, so I am Kelly, and I am a rare disease patient and advocate. and I have just recently joined the Arkansas NORD, but I have been working to help raise awareness for my condition and other rare diseases for years now. Are we going to play the video or am I going to talk?
If you have a video you'd like to share, Kelly, I can go ahead and have you share your screen to play that video. Or if you prefer to talk, that's fine too.
Oh, I don't have the video. Okay, I can just talk then. So I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and it is a connective tissue disease that is genetic, and it basically causes all of the collagen that is produced in my body to be very weak. And collagen is kind of like the glue in your body that kind of holds everything together. And so that can make all of your connective tissues weak. And since they're connective tissues in your entire body, that can affect anything from joints to organs, blood vessels, nervous system, pretty much everything. And for me, it has mainly caused what is called gastroparesis and intestinal dysmotility, which literally means paralysis of the stomach. And so basically, this condition has made my stomach and intestines too weak to function and contract and be able to move anything through, whether that's food, medications, or anything else. And so I have been on a feeding tube for 4 years now, and TPN, which is IV nutrition, for about a year now. So it has really kind of impacted my life in a lot of ways, but it has definitely made me a better person, honestly. And I think it has made me who I am today. And I am very thankful for all of the opportunities here with NORD and otherwise that I've been given through this, and the other patients and people and advocates that I've gotten to meet through this.
Kelly, I just want to brag on you for a moment. We've gotten to know Kelly really well this past year, and to watch this young woman grow into this strong advocate is what the Rare Action Network is for. Just recently, she became an ambassador for our children's hospital. So she's able to go around the state and do events, spreading awareness, not just of her disease, but of all rare disease. So on behalf of the Arkansas Rare Action Network, I just want to say thank you, Kelly. You're a rising star in the world of rare disease.
Thank you.
I'm so sorry. We're learning this together, okay? We're a team. Kelly, yes, thank you so much. I loved meeting you on our RAN calls, and that's something we look forward to moving forward. And so thank you for being here this morning and sharing your story with us. And thank you for your passion to help us in the state of Arkansas. So we're going to go to our next speaker, and that is Miss Amy Sanford. And I'm looking for her to pop on right now. Amy is going to share a story about her son as a caretaker, and her son actually shared his story on our Facebook page this past week. So Amy.
Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Perfect. Okay. I actually conned him into joining us this morning, so.
Yay. Welcome.
Hello.
He's sleepy. So yes, we have the support group here in the state of Arkansas, which is, as you see, that's the Dystonia support group of the Ozarks. We are on Facebook. We started this due to Nick, basically. So he's actually been diagnosed with a form of dystonia, most likely, not genetically proven, but most likely PKD, which is paroxysmal kathesogenic, basically meaning anytime he moves, it causes lockups that, well, you can explain.
So it's again, I don't know anywhere near as many technical terms as she does, but mine's motion based. So any, I would say large amount. Well, for me, large amount is more than getting up, moving, doing things. Like if I was to go to the park with someone or something like that, something that would normally be not really that big of an issue. For me, it will cause what I've nicknamed lockups over the years, which is like it will cause a red heat rash throughout my legs, which will then spread up my legs. And for every joint that that heat rash hits, it will then proceed to sequentially lock the muscles or tighten continuously until a point of temporary paralysis. That's been going on for probably about 6 years now. It's been accompanied with pretty much untouchable pain. I've never found a medication or really any solutions to help with pain. Yeah.
And then in November, we actually got a clinic in Fayetteville to diagnose hypermobile EDS. So that's helped open a lot of windows, explaining a lot of the other symptoms that he seems to have going along with everything else. But as a mom, you know, it's really hard to sit and know that something is wrong with your child and not really feel like any of the doctors are paying any attention to it. You know, I mean, he, even as a child, had severe plantar fasciitis in his feet to the point that he couldn't even wear socks, you know, and of course, nobody at that time even knew anything about that. So his symptoms mainly started when he was about 15. So we're going on just over 6 years. We waited over 6 months to get an appointment with a doctor in Kansas City. I was calling continuously trying to get, you know, are you wait lists, any cancellations, anything. And when we finally got there, that was the largest waste of time in our life, because he literally looked him straight in the face and said, it's in your head. You need to see a psychiatrist, you know, and I had to stop from committing bodily harm to the person, because you don't say that to a child, much less his mother standing right there who's waited 6 months for an appointment, you know. But thankfully we did get into Mayo Clinic in Rochester, and they confirmed his Raynaud's disease, but wanted us to stay for over 2 weeks, and that was not physically possible. So we came home and found a doctor that continued some of the testing that Mayo Clinic wanted. And that doctor confirmed the diagnosis of dystonia. And we laughed when we heard that, because he used to love dinosaurs when he was little. When he said that, he said, well, I guess I, you know, played with too many dinosaurs if I now have dystonia, because it sounds like something from, you know, the Middle Ages or something. But anyway, it's been hard as a parent to watch him not be able to do the things he wants to do. So, and being that it's an inherited disorder in some of these cases, you know, he does have a younger brother who's 15, and 15 is about the age that Nick's symptoms started. So we just watched, you know, little brother to make sure nothing else is going to pop up on us. I will say, you know your child best, and be a strong advocate for your child, and don't be afraid to stand up to those doctors. And, you know, hopefully a lot more of them will educate themselves as to what is out there and all of its little symptoms that go along.
Thank you so much, Amy and Nick. Nick, I am so proud of you. This is definitely outside of Nick's comfort zone. So thank you so very much for your story, for your caretaker story, and just your encouraging parents to stand up, take a stand. Do not be afraid of the doctors. Be very open and honest with them, because that's how we wind up getting a lot more help. Thank you too for joining us this morning, and what a powerful story that you have to share. And at this point, we're going to go to Kim McClellan. She is my co-ambassador for the state of Arkansas, and she is going to be sharing her story with us this morning. So Kim, welcome, and you go from here.
Good morning. First of all, thank you all for tuning in today. We're kind of getting the groove of this COVID virtual. I am a patient and an advocate, and when I was 5 years old, I was diagnosed with a disease called recurrent respiratory papillomatosis. And some people may know it as laryngeal papilloma, but they're interchangeable. So at 5 years old, my parents learned I had extensive disease on my vocal cords. And like other rare patients, this diagnosis came after about a year-long journey trying to find the diagnosis. And it took an ear, nose, and throat doctor finally putting me under and learning that the disease was there. And at that time, they weren't really sure of the cause of the disease. Now we know the disease is HPV 6 and 11. We also know that for juvenile onset, it's transmitted to the child in utero during delivery because of an infected parent with HPV. But what we also know is 80% of adults will be infected with HPV in their lifetime and never know it. So the likelihood of my parents knowing they were infected were actually pretty slim. For this disease, even today, all these years later, the only approved treatment is surgical intervention. What happens there is the patient's put under general anesthesia. The doctor goes in using a scalpel, a laser, or a microdebrider, or even an ablation technique to remove the disease. But it's not curative. The disease comes back. Sometimes as frequently as a week, 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years, or there can even be remission periods. But because of the repeated surgical interventions, there can be extensive damage to the mucosal layer in the larynx and the trachea, which can lead to stenosis, which is, think of it as you're breathing through a straw. And none of us are supposed to have a straw for an airway. So what that did for me, after over 250 surgeries, 27 years ago, I was given a tracheotomy, and I've had it ever since. So that kind of takes you into my next story of being a rare patient with a disease that has no cure. What do you do with it? What do you do with it in your life? And especially for me, in 2015, I also learned to have the rare complication within a rare disease of having pulmonary spread of that disease. And what happens then, and you'll see a picture in a minute, what happens then is the disease in the lungs creates these cavitations. It literally can eat away your lung. And so a lot of physicians will say we need to remove those pulmonary nodules, which is the HPV disease of my diagnosis. But then again, as our pulmonary director, Marcel Stiff, will often say, we all only have so much lung to remove. So our goal as an organization is to educate our patients in other methods to possibly go down with their physicians to preserve as much lung tissue as possible. So here I am in 2015. I'm on auto cruise. I'm on autopilot with the disease. It's routine. It's just what we do. There's no cure. It is what it is. But with pulmonary, for some reason, that's when all patients, not just me, really begin to take the disease seriously because our pulmonary spread is where we see most of our malignancy. And for whatever the reason, we don't respond into the traditional treatments for lung cancer. So our morbidity is quite high as well. So what happened for me is this little baby advocate turned to this growing advocate. So I became very involved within our foundation, and within that, worked through social media awareness and advocacy. Eventually, kind of began to tiptoe into patient advocacy. And so the foundation one year sent me to the Nord Summit. And it was at the Nord Summit, my eyes became open to what all was at our disposal for advocacy, awareness, how to drive that patient-centered research. So that's what excites me about today, is to speak to you about my disease, but to speak to you about what's led to our organization growing because of our involvement with NORD, because of our involvement with Rare Action. For example, we've launched a patient registry that's IRB approved, HIPAA compliant, GDPR compliant, global in reach. We've already had researchers accessing that. That is exciting. To be able to speak to you today or at an HPV summit or sit on the National HPV Roundtable, that's giving not only our rare community a louder voice, but rare disease together, because when one voice is loud, we're all louder. So I'm thankful to NORD and to the foundation that represents my disease for this voice. Next slide, we'll go to this, and then I'm gonna kind of close this up because I can talk forever. On your left is an example of pulmonary disease. If you can see the dark areas in the lungs, like on the top left, you'll see like a little black hole of nothing. That's where the disease is cavitated into the lung. So that healthy lung tissue no longer exists. In the next, on the right side, you'll see a cloudy mass. And what's kind of scary about this is physicians that don't understand pulmonary disease of my disease, the patient gets a CT, they get this report, and they basically think they're about to die from massive lung cancer involvement. But without a biopsy, we don't know. So the biopsy will show that it's either squamous cell papilloma or squamous cell carcinoma. And as our pulmonary director will tell patients, the distinguishing between the two, it's a very thin line. And sometimes doctors get it wrong. So we always encourage that second opinion to make sure that the diagnosis is correct. On the right, you see a mass of papilloma blocking the vocal cords. So imagine what that does to the airway, to the voice. And one of the cruelest things this disease does is it robs the patients of what society considers a normal voice. For me, I was bullied greatly in school because I sounded like Donald Duck. We didn't have laws in schools about bullying back in the 70s or even the early 80s. It was something we grew up with. And it was a trauma many of us that are adults are just now beginning to process. A trauma we encourage young moms today to get those children into counseling immediately, because we don't know what the disease is going to do. Every patient's journey is different. Some may have 20 surgeries, some may have 5, some may have 200, some may have 800. So there's no preset journey. For myself, I'm on an off-label therapy drug called Avastin to bring my disease under control. But it's not applicable to all patients. And at some point, I know it's going to stop working on me, and we don't have a what's next. We have therapeutic vaccines in trial, but even they aren't curative. So my call to you today is one, find your voice, because your voice is where you can find purpose in a rare disease you can't control. Next, for HPV, we know that the Gardasil vaccine will not only end HPV-related cancers, but in Australia, Sweden, Canada, we also show that vaccinated mothers help stop new diagnosis of my disease. So the Gardasil vaccine matters greatly in ending HPV-related cancers and my disease. And a lot of parents don't know that HPV causes cancer. You're literally giving your child a cancer vaccine. So today I'm going to leave you with this quote, that today you are that is truer than you. There is no one alive who is youer than you. Remember that with a rare disease. No one is you. No one has your voice. So find your voice, small or large, it serves a purpose. And so today I want to leave you with that and hope that now you know a little bit more about my disease, my journey, and also how it plays into HPV. Thank you so much.
Okay, maybe we're going. Thank you, Kim, so very much. What a powerful story. I'm so grateful that she was willing to give her story today. And let me just say that, look at the correlation. We had a caregiver and a patient right before Kim that was strongly encouraging, you know yourself, you know your patient. Stand up, use your voice. So, two of our speakers back to back have really encouraged us about using our voice. And when I first met Kim, she only had a whisper. So that just lets us know that with the trials and the new data and the new treatments moving forward are helping our patients, and we can see that right now. And that is always encouraging to know that we're not going to stop. We're just going to keep going. So thank you, Kim. It was wonderful the first time I heard her voice, and thank you for using it so strongly with us here at NORD. Now, the next speaker that we have is one of our industry representatives. She represents a lot of states, but she is one here in Arkansas for us. I have known Leanne Wilson for a while, and what an amazing helper that she is for patients. She's a strong advocate. She brings awareness. So it's so much more for Leanne than just being an industry worker. So welcome, Leanne, and we will turn it over to you.
Thank you, Tammy. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Great. Like Tammy said, my name is Leanne Wilson, and I had the honor to get to share my story this week. And it is a true honor to get to share that story with the rare disease community and help build advocacy and awareness for rare disease. I am married with 2 children. Both children are affected with the bleeding disorder called hemophilia. My goal is to empower other patients and their families with the knowledge needed to ensure good health and success. This is why I chose to get into the industry. I'm a regional care coordinator at Biomatrix Specialty Pharmacy. Biomatrix was an awarded and an incorporated 5,000 company and proudly making the difference in communities they serve, one patient at a time. We currently have 10 locations across the U.S., and they are all accredited by URAC and ACHC, with 3 also being accredited by the Joint Commission as well. We have been servicing TRICARE patients for over a decade. Biomatrix's mission is to improve outcome through individual specialty pharmacy services, empowering patients to live each day to its fullest potential. Along 540 national winners, Biomatrix was also named the 2020 and 2019 best and brightest companies to work for in the nation. Biomatrix has given me the ability to help patients and people suffering from hemophilia and other bleeding disorders and other rares with the high-touch standard care that every patient deserves. Getting involved with NARE was a no-brainer for me. My son was in a car accident at 18 months old. And it was then when I realized that advocacy was not only needed for just him, but for everyone walking the journey of rare disease. Growing my passion to empower people with the knowledge reaching beyond the bleeding disorder community. NORD gives me the ability to reach out to more rare diseases, learning their struggles, and helping find ways to improve their life. Thank you, Tammy. Thank you, NORD, for this opportunity. I'll give it back to you.
Thank you, Leanne. How powerful. I think we can all hear the passion in Leanne's voice for helping patients. So thank you for joining us. And now I'm turning it back over to Elise, and she is going to share some updates with us. So welcome, Elise.
Thank you so much, Tammy. And I have to say, I have a hard act to follow after such wonderful speakers, but I'll try to do my best. Yeah, good morning, everyone. My name, like Tammy said, is Elise Patel, and I am the Western Region State Policy Manager for NORD. And today I'm excited to share with you some of NORD's Rare Disease Advisory Council work, share why RDAC started and where we're headed this year. So as many of you know, 25 to 30 million Americans are impacted by a rare disease, which breaks down to about 1 in 10 individuals. And while that's quite a few people that are directly impacted by a rare disease, we're finding that many of our lawmakers aren't necessarily aware of the unique challenges that are faced by the rare disease community. And so the solution was to form rare disease advisory councils, where a group of diverse individuals in the rare disease community could come together and help advise state government. And this is especially important as many of our healthcare decisions are made at the state level. And we also see these RDACs as an enormous opportunity for the community and legislators to come together and partner in a more strategic way on a regular basis as well. So the first council was created in 2015 by some wonderful advocates in North Carolina, and since then has really gained traction across the country. There are currently 16 states that have passed RDAC legislation, as you can see on the slide, with Massachusetts being the last state to do so just a month ago. And much of this progress has happened over the course of the last 2 years, with 10 governors signing RDAC legislation into law since 2019. So NORD has launched what we call Project RDAC, and this is an initiative to help optimize existing RDACs and also help increase the number of RDACs across the country and individual states. And under this initiative, NORD is going to be providing opportunities for RDACs to collaborate with one another, and will also be providing educational resources to guide these RDACs every step of their journey. So feel free to visit our website, rarediseases.org. There we have a tab that says Project RDAC, and on that website you will find resources. We always list our upcoming events, whether it's a webinar or a coalition meeting, as well as an interactive state map, where if you hover over the state, you can actually find state-specific information. And we're really excited because, as you'll learn in a little bit, for Arkansas, we have a bill that's moving right now, and we also have a unique one-pager specifically for Arkansas. So, Arkansas, you guys are doing a great job. We currently have Senate Bill 143 moving through the legislature, and that was introduced by Senator Missy Irvin and Representative Michelle Gray. And so this bill will help not only address issues and challenges faced by the rare disease patients, but it will also ensure that beneficiaries of the Arkansas Medicaid program will have access to the new products that are approved by the FDA. And the council will work together to really provide input and feedback on matters, including access to care, impact to coverage, and pandemic preparedness and response as well. So current update right now, we were really pleased to see the bill move through the Senate very quickly with unanimous support, which was really great to see that level of support. Currently, I know you guys had some crazy weather last week, so there was a little delay, but we are excited to share that we should have a hearing in the House Public Health, Welfare, and Labor Committee, hopefully early this week. So we'll be sure to keep you guys posted as soon as that gets scheduled. But, you know, like we know, it takes everyone and everyone's voice to make this happen. And we want everyone to feel like they're part of this process. So we still have work to do to get this across the finish line. And if you are interested in being part of our efforts, feel free to reach out to us at RDAC@rarediseases.org. And we would be happy to link you into our efforts. And then I also wanted to briefly share with you guys our NORD state report card. So this is our 6th year publishing a state report card. And the report card is a tool to evaluate how effectively states are serving the rare disease community. It's a way for us to track individual state progress on our priority policy issues, as you can see on the slide, and also enable effective advocacy by providing that tangible tool to see how your state measures up in key areas. So the issues outlined touch on several critical and relevant policy areas. However, we do understand that there are still other policy areas that impact the lives of rare disease patients. So it's not all inclusive. And this year we transitioned to a new interactive format. There's a state report card landing page, as well as a web page for each of the 8 issues that are highlighted in the report. Feel free to use the link listed on the slide. We can also drop it in the chat to see how Arkansas measures up. And I wanted to share with you a quick demo of our website so that when you have a moment, you can navigate and find all the information you'd like to see.
So here we have the landing page for the 6th edition of the NORD State Report Card. We've just got a little intro text up here, and then we have the 8 issues that we assessed in the 6th edition of the report right here. If you go over here, we have a drop-down bar where you can click and select your state. And then right underneath of that, we have all of these patient stories about some of the issues that are focused on in the report card. So now I'm just going to navigate to one of the issue pages. I'm going to click Medicaid financial eligibility, and that'll take you to this individual issue page. We just got a little bit of intro text again at the top, and then some more text about what the issue really is and why NORD cares about it underneath. Then we have some text about the grading methodology for this section, as well as the rubric, which is available at the bottom and also underneath of the map right here. Again, we have that drop-down bar where you can select your state. Then if you go to the left over here, you can click and access all of NORD's policy statements on the particular issue. And then you can also for that section. So next, I'll look at the map a little bit. So you can hover over each state on the map and see the state's overall grade, which is bolded there for this section, as well as the subgrades that were averaged together to get that overall grade. If you click on any of the states, it will take you to that state's individual state report card page. So I clicked on Virginia, and here is Virginia's state report card. If you scroll, you can see that we have all 8 sections and their overall grade up here in orange, and then the subgrades underneath. And you can also click this right here if you want to open a printable version of the individual state report card.
Thank you. And then finally, I wanted to share a little bit on our methodology of the state report card. All of the data that you will see on the report card is data as of November 2020, with the exception of rare disease advisory councils. We updated our RDAC work through December to reflect the exciting passage of an RDAC in both Ohio and Massachusetts at the end of 2020. And any current bills that are in the state legislature now, or any bills that may have already passed the session, were not factored into the report card or the grade. And as you saw in the demo, each issue has its own appendix that we derive the overall grade from, and each individual page contains the grading methodology section where you can read more about how that issue was evaluated. And with that, I would like to welcome you to reach out to our policy team with any questions that you may have related to our RDAC efforts, Project RDAC, or our state report card. And you can reach us at policy@rarediseases.org. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Kim to introduce our next speaker. Thank you, everyone.
Next up is Suzanne Candela with Patient AirLift Services, better known as PALS. I met Jamie and this organization through the North Summit, and they serve a valuable role within the rare disease space, helping patients get to expert care that they wouldn't be able to access otherwise. So, Suzanne, welcome.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Kim, and thank you guys for having me today. I'm really excited to share PALS and everything we do as a resource to the rare disease community. I would like to start with a video, and I know we might have some issues playing it, so if you could just let me know if you need me to share my screen for it, I can certainly do that.
It was 3 days before my due date. They did an ultrasound and the doctor was like, there's some things that look a little bit off. We're noticing the long bones in the baby's arms and legs are much shorter than we would expect. And so they were talking about a form of skeletal dysplasia. And there was really little that they knew about it here in Vermont.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was fast. He came out and Chad said, we have a baby Azrin, because we knew that if you were going to be a boy, your name would be Azrin. They sent the scans out to lots of different hospitals, and the hospital in Delaware is the one that responded and was able to diagnose him.
When we first started going down, it's about a 7.5-hour trip if we didn't have kids. Just a straight shot, no stops. But going down with Azrin is about a 12-hour at least.
And after surgery, vomiting and just tears on the way home, and with his back being tender, the drive is not a fun drive for the little one.
Yeah, it's really hard. And in fact, we can't really drive with him that long because of his condition. He just can't be seated that long.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick you up in just a minute. We're going to do some activities with him.
After his operation, he's in a full body cast. You know that 8-hour car ride is just way too much to put that child through. And that's where PALS comes in.
There you go, big man. So PALS is an incredible program. They fly us to medical care for Azrin. They're the ones that make sure that it's not a 12-hour drive, that the 2-hour hop in a quick plane with an amazing pilot that cares. Always know that we can get there and we can get home without a problem.
Everything is volunteer, from fuel, the use of the plane, insurance, ramp fees, whatever comes around, PALS supplies the transportation.
They line up all of this travel free of charge. We call them up and they say, great, we'll help you out.
That does not happen with commercial flights.
Yeah, it doesn't happen with anything.
Yeah.
So.
You know, when we go, we're thinking about all the questions to ask the doctors. We're feeling anxious if there's any kind of procedure, and to have something fun on each end of the trip that we look forward to, and that Azrin can look forward to, and that is sort of bookends the trip, that makes it amazing.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I would say PALS is the only easy piece.
All of these people, they care about us and they care about our family, and they treat Azrin like he's the most important kid they've ever met, and makes him feel super special.
It feels like family in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's sing somewhere over the rainbow.
This is why I fly. I never knew why I flew before. This is why I fly. It's actually helping a family, you know, and PALS lets me do that. So it's all about giving back.
You know, the bottom line is PALS makes critical care accessible to us. You know, it makes that critical care accessible to Azrin. Thankfully, you know, the one constant is that we can call PALS. They'll get us there. They're amazing. They really are amazing.
I've seen that video so many times and it still makes me tear up. So that family is so sweet. So let me just go to my first slide. So that video did a really good job at describing, you know, who we are, what we do. So I would just like to reiterate, PALS is a volunteer pilot organization, and we have over 800 volunteer pilots that utilize their own private aircrafts, which, as you saw in the video, they're about 4 to 6 seater planes, with the exception of a couple larger jets in our fleet, and 1 stretcher aircraft that operates anywhere east of the Mississippi. They pay for their own fuel, they use their own time, they're complete volunteers, so the service is totally free of charge for the patients. Their passion is to fly, and they want to do it with purpose, and this allows them that, and they, you know, they're just such great men and women who happen to have their own planes and pilot licenses. We also work with some corporate sponsors and many commercial airlines as a backup team. Southwest Airlines specifically donates a couple hundred vouchers to us a year. The smaller aircraft that our pilots use can't always fly for far distances. So if someone needed a cross-country flight, that's where our Southwest vouchers come in. We can provide 2 tickets, 1 for a patient, 1 for a companion, of course, round trip. Flights with us are unlimited. Oh, can you go back to, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I have a lot for the first slide, not ready for the other one. So our goal is to eliminate logistics as a barrier to the best medical care. I know that a lot of speakers on this call, specifically, Kim, I believe that you said that you go to Johns Hopkins and you live in Arkansas. That's,
Yes.
certainly more than a 2-hour drive. So, that's where we come in. If it's over a 2-hour drive, we would love to help you get there. We know that it's, it's difficult to drive, especially when you have a medical condition, to go all that way so far from home. And with the rare disease community specifically, your local doctors and facilities don't always have doctors who specialize in rare conditions. Our organization, so qualifications to qualify for a PALS flight, obviously, as Kim mentioned in the comments, we do not just help children, we help adults, anyone who needs help. We're not illness specific. The qualifications, though, you do need to be someone ambulatory to board one of these small aircrafts. If that's a little too much for you, that's where our bigger planes come in. We can request a plane with a small staircase, and also our stretcher plane. I'm happy to say we actually just flew our first ever ALS patient from Burlington, Vermont to Islip, New York, and he was, not ambulatory at all. We were able to make that happen. So that's where our stretcher flight comes in. Unfortunately, we only have 1 in our fleet, but they are, they're always willing to help. Also, there does have to be some financial need. We don't require a copy of your W-2 like some other organizations. And we also do configure in multiple factors, like say someone makes a decent salary, but they have 5 kids and exorbitant medical bills. That's just because someone makes a decent salary doesn't mean that they don't have a lot, to pay for and going on in their lives. So you can go to the next slide. Thank you. We just recently celebrated our 10th anniversary in November with a virtual gala that was really successful. I know everyone's adapting to the virtual lifestyle due to COVID. So we were really pleased to see how successful that was with the turnout. And over our, first 10 years, our data really speaks for itself. The impact has been, we've helped over 2,900 families with over 23,000 free flights. And altogether, we have flown over 5,400,000 miles. We also, when we started out, our office is in Long Island, New York, and we started out just servicing New England area. That's where we had our pilot base. But in our 10 years, we've been able to expand as far south as Florida. So we can fly anywhere from Maine to Florida, and as far out west as Wisconsin. We've been slowly but surely accumulating more volunteer pilots in these areas. And, now we service over half the country with our volunteer pilots, which is great because these private flights are really good for immune compromised patients, and you don't have to go through security, which is really stressful when you're you have medical equipment and medical just other medical medications and whatnot that I know TSA can be quite a hassle for people who need to travel with a lot of medical supplies. You can go to the next slide. So this is one of our patients, Hadley. As you can see, we've been flying her since she's a very little girl. She has a rare form of cancer. And the first picture is her on her third PALS flight. She lives in northern Maine, almost Canada. And she has to drive 10 hours. It's a 10-hour drive to her treatment at Dana-Farber Cancer Institute in Boston. And we are able to help her out, and the flight is about an hour and a half for her. So that's a lot better than a 10-hour drive. Flights with our volunteer pilots are completely unlimited. As you can see in the second picture, this is Hadley on her 59th PALS flight. She's now 17 years old, a high school senior. She actually spoke on our virtual gala and just, kind of gave everyone an update on how she's doing and how she was able to access the best care by utilizing our services. And she still does have to go to Dana-Farber every once in a while, but without being able to get the best care for her condition, who knows what could happen. They really don't have great cancer doctors up in northern Maine. So we're really happy to be able to help her. And yes, she's flown on over 59 PALS flights in her life. So that's another great thing that we can offer. We do want to support you throughout your whole journey. We have clinical trial patients who need to travel every single week. So we can certainly support that. And if you can go to my last slide, that's one of my favorite patient pictures. Feel free to send me a referral or even just an inquiry. I'll drop my contact information into the chat box. The intake process to apply for a flight is very simple. It just, again, it requires that the patient is ambulatory and able to walk upon the small aircraft or, take a little flight of stairs. We do have the one stretcher plane, just to reiterate, if you really are in need and really are not ambulatory. We do ask for about 5 to 7 business days in advance. We put a lot of work into these flights, and there's some paperwork to be done. So the more advance you can give us, the better. We've also put in place some new COVID protocols that have been proven to been working out really well. We haven't had any issues with those. And that's about it. Feel free to really reach out if you have anyone in need. If you have any questions for me, I'm here to help. And we really do look forward to expanding resources, especially to the rare disease community in the future. And hopefully one day we'll have volunteer pilots in every state in America. That is the goal. So thank you guys so much for letting me talk and present PALS to you guys. These calls I've been on so many different RAN calls this week, and they've all just, listening to all the patient stories have been so informative and so inspiring. And I look forward to working with the rare disease community further.
Thank you so much, Suzanne. I'm sorry, my computer has, for some reason, just taken me out of the Zoom. except for my voice. But, guess what? It could be because what we're leading into is Representative Dr. Lee Johnson, and he is standing by and just said, well, I may not have video, but you'll be able to hear me. So let us just welcome Representative, I keep calling him Dr. Lee. He is a doctor, Representative Lee Johnson. He's going to share with you some of the great ways he has been working in session for the state of Arkansas. So if you are with us, Dr. Lee, you go ahead and take it from here.
Hey, how are you? I'm happy to answer to Dr. Lee or whatever you call me. And I promise you that picture looks markedly better than how I look presently. No Photoshop presently with me. No filters. I didn't know I looked that good at any point. So you're better off looking at my picture than the video. Yes, so as you said, I'm representative for District 75 here in Arkansas. And it's in the Fort Smith area. My district represents Barling, Lavaca, Greenwood, Mulberry. And I am a physician. I'm a practicing ER physician. I practice here in Fort Smith at Baptist Fort Smith and Baptist Van Buren. I've been practicing here in this community as a physician for about 22 years. I also additionally have a child with a rare disorder. So my daughter has a genetic deletion on the fifth arm of her chromosome. It's called 5p- syndrome. It affects somewhere between 1 in 20,000 to 1 in 50,000 live births a year. So maybe 50 to 60 kids a year that are born with that disorder. So as a physician and a parent of a child with rare disorder, my wife is also a pediatrician. I'm pretty tuned into some of the issues and concerns that families with members of their family with rare disorders can come up against, and some of the challenges that are derived from caring for someone with a rare disorder. Additionally, I'm in this unique position to be positioned in the legislature so that I can, maybe help put forward some of the legislative initiatives that are of importance to the NORD folks. And right now we're in session. We have our session here in Arkansas every 2 years and odd years. And there are two bills right now that I think are of specific interest to NORD. One is Senate Bill 143. This is a bill that's sponsored by Senator Irvin from up in the Mountain Home area, and Representative Michelle Gray, who's in the Calico Rock area. These are two good friends of mine. This is the RDAC bill that was referenced earlier. This bill passed out of the Senate a few weeks ago and is primed to be run out of the House Public Health Committee in pretty short order. The agenda, because of the challenges we've been presented with COVID, it's been a slower process this session than some sessions because we've had to be very thoughtful about how we have people come and testify and how we prepare an agenda. And so it's made things move through a little slow. I don't anticipate Senate Bill 143 having any challenges in the House. It came through the Senate without a lot of difficulty. So I'm hopeful that we'll see that bill heard in the House committee in the coming week or two, and then hopefully passed into law after it comes out of committee through the House side. The other bill of interest is the one that I'm carrying, which is House Bill 1177. This is a bill that was brought to my attention by your organization. This is the bill that would allow paramedics to administer a patient's own medicine as prescribed by their physician if they have a rare disorder. So the example that's given often that makes the most sense is the patient with a rare bleeding disorder who maybe has their factor with them that could help their blood clot easier. But as it stands right now under current law, a paramedic has to call and get permission from a physician to give the patient their own medicine. This would cut that step out so that the paramedic can give the patient the medicine they need as prescribed by their physician. It also creates some pathways for care coordination in the community between the paramedic service and the physicians and the patient, and how their care is administered if a 911 call happens. And it provides for a pathway too for the patient to request transfer to a more distant hospital if that hospital has the specialized care they need. So it's a good bill. It was a good idea. It was well received by my colleagues. I passed it out of committee and out of the House floor this last week, and so it should be headed to the Senate side Senator David Wallace is going to be my co-sponsor on the Senate side. He sits on public health and is a very tenured and seasoned senator with some background in the military and has worked on some EMS issues with me in the past. So he'll be a good co-sponsor on the Senate side, and I expect that bill also to pass through the Senate and become law. So those should be two wins for rare disorders in the state of Arkansas that I think I'm confident will come to fruition this session. Those are the main things I was going to bring to the table today. I'm happy to try to answer any questions if anybody has any questions. That would be an adequate pause to give y'all time to pop in. I appreciate you letting me spend a little time with you today. Tammy has all of my information. If there are things that anyone wants to discuss or other agenda items they'd like to push forward, you have a lot of legislators friendly to this topic in the current General Assembly. So don't be shy about reaching out to me or to any of my colleagues. I see Representative Boyd's picture there. He's a great advocate for healthcare in our community as well. We're fortunate to have really good representation here in the River Valley from a healthcare standpoint. So please feel free to reach out to any of us at any time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Representative Lee, for taking your time to spend with us this morning. We know that you are back at work. So thank you so much, and thank you for just being a strong advocate for the state of Arkansas.
Happy to help. Thank you for involving me.
You are very welcome. And Representative Justin Boyd, as Representative Lee just said, wanted to be with us today and could not. But he shared a statement, he emailed me a statement, and I'd like to read it to you at this time. House Bill 1177 provides an important amendment to Arkansas law to allow patients with a medical condition to create a path for a patient to be administered his or her own medication. And he says that he is very much in support of this bill. That is what Representative Johnson just put out there for us with an explanation. And then there's Senate Bill number 99, which is now Act 97, removes barriers in some cases for patients with a medical condition to receive the prescribed medication without having to fail another. And of course, this is referring to step therapy, and he supported this bill, and it will be active January 1st of 2022. So thank you so much for our representatives and their help. And now we are a little over our time schedule, so I'm going to pass it to Kim to end us up for today. But from me, thank you so very much for being a part of this with us today.
First of all, thank you all for joining today. It's a Saturday. It's a beautiful Saturday. And there's other places you could have chosen to be. So we're thankful that you're here. We hope you've learned some things from the patient stories, realize the impact that NORD has on policy in your state for rare disease. And you'll see in front of you are the ways to contact NORD, RAN, as well as Tammy and myself. Just take a real quick screenshot of this because we are over, but just know we are here for you. And our job is to help get you the answers you need to make rare disease easier for you in the state of Arkansas. We hope you have a safe Saturday and enjoy this weather, and know that we're only 21 days away from glorious spring. Thank you, Elise. Thank you, Tammy. And thank you to all of our speakers. Bye now.
Bye, everyone.
We have one last video if you would like to stick around, a thank you video, and then we're happy to stay on the line for anyone that may have any questions or comments. We're happy to address those. So I'll play a quick video and then we will be here to answer questions.
Every year on the last day of February, the National Organization for Rare Disorders joins together with others around the world to raise awareness of the challenges faced by people living with rare diseases. Achieving health equity is even more difficult for rare patients. To have equity in health means everyone has an opportunity to be as healthy as possible, regardless of social, geographic, economic, or other obstacles that may be working against them. At NORD, we appreciate your support, which allows us to work on issues like health equity and many others, and for our staff and volunteers to bring them to the forefront on Rare Disease Day.
From the volunteer state ambassadors, we would like to say thank you to all of our Rare Action Network supporters for helping us connect with rare patients and families in our states.
And thank you for allowing the Rare Action Network to raise important issues with state lawmakers on Rare Disease Day and throughout the year.
Did you know that in medical school I was told when you hear hoofbeats, think horses, not zebras? But what about the more than 25 million Americans living with a rare disease? At NORD, we are humbled to provide help and resources to our zebras and their caregivers.
NORD support allowed me to catch up on some overdue bills, including my rent. Thank you for your support, NORD, and thank you for supporting Rare Disease Day.
From all of us at NORD, thank you for your dedication to the rare disease community on Rare Disease Day and every day.
Thank you, everyone. And we will stick around for anyone that wants to comment or has questions for any of us.
And everyone's so quiet.
I just want to give another shout out. I did it in the chat, but Tammy and Kim, thank you for an amazing event. Thank you to all the speakers. I think, you know, I said it in the chat and I'll say it again. The most valuable thing you can bring to the table to advocate for the rare disease community is your personal story. So we appreciate everybody who shared their story. Thank you, pals, for joining us today and the work that you're doing. And thank you, Representative Johnson, for your continued support and dedication to the rare community in Arkansas.
I just want to say thank you to everybody, especially Tammy Jones. Thank you. You're the greatest grandmother in the world. And most of these stories were truly inspiring because I actually am a type 1 diabetic. So knowing that these different stories actually helped me know get to know these rare diseases better, because my brother has von Willebrand's. So it just helps me, learn better and learn more about these stories so I can go out there and help some more people. So thank you.
Thank you, Eden. Any questions?
I just wanted to pop on. I had mentioned the support group earlier, and I've noticed that a couple of people have requested to join. It is on Facebook. It is a private group, so just request to join. And I have changed it where it's not just dystonia, any rare disorder. So if anybody would like, pop on, request, and I'll be happy to approve it. Again, everything is virtual right now, and it has been a little slow, so bear with us. But I've tried to share everything that's happened through RAN this week on the page. So everybody's welcome.
Thank you. It's really unique because it's very fitting as Representative Johnson came on and said that, things are kind of moving slow in session. Kind of reminded me of where we are in the rare community. It just always seems like our diagnoses are slow to get there, or you've got one diagnosis, but you don't have another one because people aren't aware of it. Even doctors aren't aware of it. So that is just, I think it has flowed so great today. We have seen so many things complemented by our speakers, even from the challenges to our great expectations that are to come.
And Elisa just mentioned in the chat that if anybody wanted to share their story with the Times Record, you can email her. Her email address is in the chat. So thank you, Elisa, sorry. We have an Anise and an Elise here, so forgive me. And I will take an opportunity just to let you guys know, we on Monday, we'll be launching registration for our Living Rare, Living Stronger Patient and Family Forum. That's going to take place June 26th. Or 27th and 28th, I think those are the dates, sorry. But we do encourage you to keep an eye out and register. It's a great event. It's virtual this year, but it will be a jam-packed event with lots of information, lots of ways to connect with other rare disease community members. And I will pop that into the chat as well. Yes, 26th and 27th, sorry.
So if no one else has a question or comment, we're going to let you get back to your day. But before we go, I have to say thank you so much to our NORD team, because they have been so busy this month. They have actually hosted many of these virtual rare disease days this past month, and I'm sure they're ready to just go, we're almost there. So just thank you so much. You put in a lot of work, so many emails, so many texts from so many different areas. So you did a wonderful job. Thank you so very much for being there to carry us through our ambassador roles and our advocacy roles.
Thank you, Tammy. But we have to say it's all our volunteers that make these things happen.
100%.
Give us credit, but we know where the true credit is.
Great.
Well, Elise or Kristen, do you, either one of you or Kim, anybody have anything they would like to say before we?
I think we're good. Thank you all again for joining. Stay active with Arkansas RAN, connect with Tammy and Kim. And we've got, we're going to be planning out more events for the remainder of this year. So keep an eye out in your inboxes for activities and events that are going to be happening. Thank you all for coming today.
Thank you. Bye.